Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, so today we are diving into a story that honestly feels like it was pulled straight out of a Hollywood movie, but it's totally real. We're going to follow the journey of a guy named Ethan. He started out as a janitor in New York, literally pushing a mop, and ended up sitting in the boardroom of that very same building. We're going to break down exactly how he pulled this off, the crazy hurdles he had to jump over, and the massive mindset shift that made the whole shebang possible. Let's get right into it.
So imagine this. Every single night, while the rest of the city is winding down, going out to dinner, or heading home, Ethan is clocking in. He's pushing a mob down these incredibly quiet, empty hallways of a massive corporate building. And in his head, he's brewing up all these big business ideas. But, when you're at the bottom of the ladder, people can be, pretty harsh. He actually had people laugh at him, literally telling him, "You're just a janitor." It's one of those phrases designed to keep you in a neat little box, right? To basically say your job title is your entire worth. But Ethan, no way. He absolutely refused to let his current paycheck dictate his future.
Then, one night, something clicked. Ethan noticed that the execs on the top floor were working crazy late on these huge complex projects. Now, when Ethan took his breaks, it would have been so easy to just crash and doom scroll on his phone. We've all been there, especially after doing heavy physical work. That's the default. But he did a complete 180. Instead of zoning out on his screen, he hit the office library. He started picking up the actual business books those late-night executives were leaving lying around. He basically swapped out passive distraction for deliberate, targeted learning.
And this wasn't just a weekend project. This became his literal nightly curriculum. Marketing, sales, leadership. Night after night, after a completely exhausting shift, he didn't just go to sleep. For 3 solid years, he devoured these concepts. And he wasn't just skimming pages either. He was actively dissecting how successful companies marketed their products, the psychology behind a killer sales funnel, and how top-tier leaders actually communicated. Think about that for a second. 3 years of grinding out a self-taught, rigorous education entirely in the shadows, figuring out the exact nuts and bolts of how big businesses win. Okay, so after all that grinding, he finally goes for it. He launches a small online business right out of his cramped apartment using everything he learned. Now, you're probably thinking, bam! Instant success, right? Because of all that prep? Well, actually, in his very first month, his business brought in exactly $27. Yep, $27. All those late nights, all those heavy books read, and he made enough to, maybe buy a couple pizzas? It is such a massive reality check, a really humbling beginning that hits almost everyone who steps out on their own to build something.
And if you thought making $27 was rough, month 2 hits, and he actually loses money. Let's just pause here for a second, because this right here, this is the make or break moment. You make almost nothing in month 1, and by month 2, you are literally in the red. His marketing costs ate up everything, and the sales strategy just wasn't clicking. This is the exact spot, that painful intersection of crushing disappointment and actual financial loss, where 99% of people would just throw in the towel. They'd say, well, I gave it a shot, the people laughing that we were right, I guess I really am just a janitor.
But here's the game changer. Ethan didn't quit. Instead, he kicks into gear with what we can call his reaction framework. First up, he just kept learning. He didn't act like he knew everything just because he read a few books. He went right back to studying customer behavior. Number 2, he focused on improving. He looked at his lost money not as some huge personal failure, but as raw data. It was just objective feedback telling him what to fix. And third, he kept trying again. He tweaked his marketing, sharpened his pitch, and relaunched. He essentially took his biggest struggle and turned it into this relentless, repeatable machine of learning and action.
So let's zoom out and look at the big picture of this staggering perseverance. Years 1 through 3, just relentlessly studying in empty, quiet hallways. The launch phase, totally brutal, making a measly $27 in month 1, literally losing money in month 2. But fast forward to year 5. Just 5 years in, and Ethan's company employed over 100 people. Over 100! To put that in perspective, he went from a tiny apartment and a negative bank balance to carrying the livelihoods of an entire small army of employees. He scaled his leadership, fixed those sales pipelines, and completely rewrote his reality. It's monumental.
And this all leads up to my absolute favorite part of the story. One morning, Ethan walks back into the exact same New York office building where he used to push that mop, down the exact same hallways. But this time, he wasn't hauling a cleaning cart. He was strolling straight into the boardroom to sign a massive partnership deal as the CEO of his own thriving company. Those same executives who used to leave their books lying around on their desks, they were now sitting across the table negotiating terms with him. Talk about an unbelievable full circle moment. The janitor had literally returned as the chief executive.
Obviously, a reporter catches wind of this crazy ascent and asks him the golden question, right?
the one we all want the answer to. What is your secret? Ethan just smiles and drops this profound gem of an answer. I never focused on where I was, I focused on where I was going. That right there is the ultimate visionary mindset. He didn't obsess over the mop. He didn't dwell on the mocking laughter, or that painful $27 first month, or his tiny apartment. His vision and his daily drive were anchored 100% in his future.
So, what's the big takeaway for us in this explainer? Well, it really boils down to the massive difference between your current situation and your final destination, because they are not the same thing, and they absolutely do not have to be the same thing. The source material we've covered today leaves us with a powerful, undeniable moral. Your current circumstances do not write the end of your story. Consistent, deliberate effort today, choosing to study market trends instead of doom scrolling, or learning from a flop instead of giving up, that is exactly what creates those extraordinary compounding results tomorrow.
We've seen exactly where Ethan went. We've seen firsthand the sheer power of an unshakable, forward-looking mindset applied to real-world business mechanics. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one provocative question to chew on today. Where are you going? Are you letting your current job title, your bank balance, or your immediate struggles box in your potential? Or are you going to be like Ethan, focusing entirely on your destination and building the skills you need to get there? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep pushing, and keep your focus locked on exactly where it is you want to go.